see you know who.
Please?
I don't see you know who.
Oh, don't jinx me, man. Rhonda, are we okay?
Yeah.
On this? Okay, you already checked. I want to make sure Jimmy can hear. Let's call this meeting to order, if we could, please. That's probably the quietest start to a fiscal court meeting I've had in a long time, but it's nice to be back. Thanks for everybody's patience and staying safe as we can as we work through this situation. The fiscal court will meet in closed session at the tail end of our regular business meeting as per KRS 61-810. 1B, discussion of future acquisition or sale of real property by a public agency, but only if the publicity would likely affect the value of that specific piece of properties. We will, and I would almost bet my last dollar that there will not be any action, so for the media's purposes on that. Okay. I first want to thank Carol and Rhonda for helping sanitize this room last night. They did a great job of completely sanitizing. I found a new, one thing about these two girls, they're not afraid to pick up the ball and run with it, and I want to thank you. It meant a lot to us.
Yep. Thanks, Bob.
Raymond, you got your guys here, please?
Yes, sir.
We got a little presentation before we get.
Oh, the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I looked at one on I-65.
Did you?
I didn't.
Did you have any contact with him?
Raymond had asked if we would allow him to, if you guys just want to come up.
Yeah, I'll come over here.
Pretty good sized fella there, but.
So the sheriff's office has been pretty busy, but I wanted to recognize these guys for the work they've done, especially in the last week. June the 11th, this is our one side of our late watch. Levi Preston was out on patrol coming on Louisville Road. This is June the 11th, about 3 o'clock in the morning. He observed a truck pulling a trailer, and the trailer kept going into the center lane, just weaving in and out. So he noticed that the trailer did not have lights on, so he flipped on it, tried to do a traffic stop on it, and a pursuit ensued. And needless to say, wrecked Reese Riley's vehicle, a vehicle from school board that was parked over at the Early Learning Center. It went around their building, and at the end of the day, we took 2 bad guys to jail. But the recognition that I wanted to give them was that they stopped by paying attention and doing their job and recover a trailer worth $50,000 to $60,000 with equipment from Mago that test the asphalt on their job sites. The next morning, they receive a call of a couple heading to the hospital to deliver their baby, and Reese Riley and the same crew deliver the baby within 20 minutes of their arrival to the High Grove area. Again, we've been busy, and I just wanted to recognize the deputies.
That's some pretty quick thinking on you guys. Whose sister was the nurse? Or
Yes, sir.
Okay. But that was a quick thinking on your part. Said, what do I do, man?
Well, we've always talked about if that situations happen, she was like, if you need me, just call. So that was the first thing that popped in my mind, to give her a call.
And she was away?
I was hoping she was working, and she was working that night.
Okay.
So I told her what we had going on. I told her once we got to them, I'd give her a call back. And I did. I put her on speakerphone and gave Ryan my phone and just told him to stay close to me so I could hear what she told me to do, and she directed me through it.
Congratulations.
Thank
So, back in 1986, no problem remember this. Me and my partner was on the way to University Hospital in the EMS, in the ambulance, trying to make it to University for delivery. I was driving, my partner was in the back, thank goodness it was a woman. She said, pull over. I said, oh no. So I know what you went through, and I really wouldn't want to do that again. Congratulations.
So I also wanted to recognize dispatch and EMS for continuing and carrying on and doing the mission. This young man was hired almost a year ago. He came from the jail, and he's getting his hands real dirty at the moment. So we're waiting for academy time for him. With COVID-19, they've stopped all the the academy. So Ryan is getting a lot of learning on the street here in Nelson County.
I believe all four of y'all will be good foursome on a football team.
Mike.
You're all pretty good sized fellows, but thank y'all for your service.
Thanks, y'all.
Keep us safe.
You know, that when Raymond told me that story, I actually got a little emotional just thinking about it, you know, pulling up to a site and a new baby being born. That was quite the show. Okay, minutes from the June 2nd meeting. This was mailed to you guys. Any corrections or changes to the
One
minutes?
correction, under road department.
What page are we on?
691,
691.
Egan Road Lane is in District 5 instead of 3.
Yeah, that's all it is.
That's all I see.
That correction being made. Any other corrections or changes? Otherwise, entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to approve with the correction. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Keith. All approve, say aye. Disapprove? And motion will carry. Let's see, I'm like Keith. Look at this table here. Which way do I put all these papers? We've been a little bit behind on paperwork, I think. Next would be your bills list, additional bills list, and there's a whole slew of transfers for the end of the year transfers. Those are just line item transfers to balance up funds that you're required to do at the end of the year. Any questions?
I have one.
Okay.
Under the safety deposit box that is put on Sutherland building, being the COVID-19 is the reason why the clerk's office closed, couldn't we get that reimbursed through?
Probably it's on our list to
It is?
apply, to apply for that, yeah.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah.
And it will be, I don't think it'd be a problem either.
Okay.
Now, from what I've heard in the webinars I've attended on the CARES Act money, that would be reimbursable.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Did any other counties do that?
Not that I'm aware of, but that I'm aware of now.
Yeah, I thought it was a good idea.
It works great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, any other questions on bills?
Make a motion to pay the bills and transfer.
Thank you, Jeff. Second by Bernard Ice. Discussion? All approve, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? And motion will carry. Thank you all.
Hey Judge, on the webinar for the CARES Act, I was told by the Sheriff's Association that all salaries can be reimbursed on the CARES Act for first responders.
The Department of Local Government has issued that statement. We're verifying with the federal, there's a contradiction in the memorandum of understanding on that, and we want to make sure it's clarified. And we do plan on making those applications going forward. There's concern from some of those judges that there's a clause in the Federal Act that states that nothing can be used for pre-budgeted expenditures, and the Treasury's put out a notice, U.S. Treasury's put out a notice that's not clear enough, and so we're trying to get that clarity. But we do plan, and if we do plan to make those applications for some payroll, we will hold that money until we go through a federal audit. See, when you go over $750,000, which we will do, starting July 1, then you're subject to a federal, what's called a federal single audit. It's about a $10,000 more additional expense for an audit. And in doing so, the feds come, there's a set of federal guidelines versus the state guidelines. And Ron and I have been through those before, and they're a little more intense. Anybody any questions on that? And I would trade that $10,000 extra audit for $750,000 or $1 million anytime. just part of the system, part of the administrative cost. Okay. We voted on that, didn't we? My mind's wandering today a little bit. Second reading of the budget amendment ordinance. We have finally got that approved by the state and advertised. Entertain a motion to approve on second reading and adoption of that amended ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Eric. Is there a second to that? Second by Jeff. Further discussion? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Disapprove? That was like a musical chair. All approve, say aye. Aye. Disapprove? Motion carries. Thank you. Next would be your second reading of your 2020-21 budget. You guys approved on first reading. We advertised for a second and adoption. And we were ready last court meeting with this, but the DLG had not approved it. So we'd like to have a motion to approve the budget on second reading and adoption. Thank you, Bernard. Is there a second? Second by Jeff. Any further discussion? All approve, say aye. Disapprove? The motion will carry.
Thank you, Rhonda, for all your hard work on this. I think you did a good job.
She's very valuable. Next would be your pay rate order for 2021. You guys have a copy of pay rate order. I have proposed, instead of the 2.3% CPI increase, I proposed a 3% increase. With the exception, there's the major at the jail. She's taken on some new responsibilities. Buck's given her some new responsibilities since he's become the jailer, and doing an excellent job of getting our money in from the state on a timely basis, and wish to give her a 10% increase based on new responsibilities. Entertain a motion to approve the pay rate order.
I'll make a motion to approve the pay rate order.
Thank you, Eric. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Keith.
have a question.
Discussion? Yes.
Under the deputy sheriff's, does that, it says include yearly training incentives, is that CLEP money?
Uh-huh.
Okay. It includes that?
Includes that. Uh-huh.
I think we need to look at their salaries a little bit better.
What do you think?
I think we need to look at it to give them some kind of raise. If you take that CLEP money off, that's quite a bit of money.
$1.91, $1.92 in there.
Did you happen to get did everybody receive a copy of the KCO pay rates? Did everybody get that?
Long time
And read
ago?
it? Yeah.
6 months.
6 to 8 months, 10 months,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm sorry.
Did you get a chance to review it?
Yeah.
Well, according to that.
We're right in the middle.
Well, we're just above the middle, even if you take the CLEP money away. Am I looking at that
We're in the
wrong?
upper tier.
We're in above median range
Yeah.
as far as deputies across
The
117
thing, Eric,
counties.
is that in today's society, you're not going to get the quality candidates to come in and work and do the job that we do, okay? I just lost Tom Blair, a retired guy, to go back to the city, okay?
Mhm.
Because he's gonna make $4 more an hour, and I can't blame somebody for doing that.
I can't blame them either, Raymond.
Okay, so we're struggling again, and Judge said that he'll pay a guy to come in and get outfitted, and if he leaves, he leaves. That's not my mentality. I want guys to come in and stay and work.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that as well, but, you know, I mean, you have to kind of, I mean, as a fiscal court member, don't you need to keep it in line with everybody else? I mean, I can't very well give the garbage guys $30 an hour because they're.
They don't do the job that we do, Eric.
Oh, they don't, but it's still a terrible, it's still a rough job.
While protesters are downtown, the garbage guys are not downtown. We are.
I understand that, Raymond, but you understand what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying.
But how do you compete with, you know, I mean, even the list that I saw was broke down by population-wise, and it also had by the budget. And in every one of those surveys across 117 counties, our deputies were making above median range. So how can I go back to my constituents and say, I'm giving the guys in the sheriff's department, they do some hard work, I'm giving them $2 an hour raise. How do I justify that to the people I represent?
Well, I think what you're going to find out is, number one, you're going to have less qualified people applying. Number two,
Well, that's already happening.
there's going to be a lot of police officers quit because of what's going on.
That's already happening.
In the country
Nation
today.
right now.
So
Right.
you're going to have to address that and pay them a good wage in order to keep them to control our pub. I mean, you know, it's bad.
I mean, I agree with that, but where do you draw the line? So you going to tell your constituents that you're going to raise taxes to give your, whatever department is, a
Nobody said
raise
anything about raising
that's above what it pays everywhere else?
Nobody said anything about raising taxes. I'm sure there's money
Well, I
in
mean-
the budget that can be transferred over to take care of that.
And let me just say this. This is a discussion that we'll need to have going forward. I'm going to, at the end of the meeting, I'm going to talk a little bit about a roundtable working session of fiscal court to talk about the needs that we have going forward. Not just pay raises for people, but infrastructure and other things. Bernard, we did that about 15 years ago or so, and we had a couple of meetings. One was at Wickland. We just got together and talked about ambulance service. The ambulance service, you know, now is taking another $700,000 out of our budget. And that budget's just about dried up. And that's how we address all that going forward. And so I think that's a bigger picture than just the police officers. There's a lot of other stuff that's needed. Okay?
I agree.
Any other discussion? Your point well taken there, Magistrate Coulter.
Thank you.
We've already voted?
No, we haven't voted.
Okay.
We got a second.
Got a second, that's what it was. I lose track of that. All approve, say aye. Aye. Disapprove? Motion carries. Next would be general liability workman's comp insurance program. At the request of a couple of magistrates, I promised two of the magistrates last year, Magistrate Coulter and Magistrate Metcalf, that we would entertain a quote from KCO Insurance, which is a self-insured group, versus our general liability and workman's comp we currently have. KCO did provide us a quote that's about 6% or $36,000 less than the quote we have from our private carrier. Everybody understand what a self-insured group is? Self-insured, you are subject to future reassessments if the fund comes up short. County got reassessed in 1995. That several of us counties, including Bullitt, myself, and a few other counties, we fought it, and but nobody challenged us on it. So there was some back then. There was some probably some things done that shouldn't have been done as far as the management style. They've greatly improved. Their self-insured group, their position in the insurance field is a whole lot better than it was back then. But does everybody understand what an assessment is? Which means at the end of the year, they can come back 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and say our funds didn't have enough money to cover all those losses incurred back then, and we would need more money.
Is the city of Bardstown self-insured?
So they're through the city program, yes.
Self-insured?
No,
Seems like...
no, they're not self-insured. They go through a self-insured program.
Okay. Same thing we're going.
City schools the same way.
Same thing we're going.
The city of schools got an $80,000 assessment 6 years ago, and on top of their premium.
Okay, isn't Kimmy self-insured also?
Kimmy's a self-insured.
So it's the same basic,
Same system, but the general liability is not.
What do you mean?
I mean, our general liability currently is not.
Through King.
Through King, no, King is just a workman's comp.
All right, so what are you talking about? Explain it to me.
Okay, our general liability and casualty is through Houston Casualty Company, who, Houston Casualty Company is, they're just like Allstate or, you know, some big company. And they're a fully insured group, where KCO is self-insured, general liability and workman's comp. Follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a difference. So the difference is that when you pay your bill to Houston Casualty, your bill's paid. And when you pay your bill with KCO, you're subject to an assessment.
Yeah.
It's only happened 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. There's no comparison, I don't think.
But if we go with a self-insured, and I'm going to work with either company at the court's discretion to make it the best it can be. But I have reservations about going with a self-insured group. We've gone 26 years, 25 or 6 years, and just 2 or 3 years left in my tenure.
When was the last time that you advertised this for a bid?
We don't have to advertise it.
Well, when was the last time we got another bid? Long time.
Last year before last.
Who did we get?
Travelers. Travelers is one. We've had Travelers before.
How come KCO wasn't invited to bid on it last time?
Cause I didn't want to go through a self-insured group.
You didn't?
Did not.
Was
I
it
mean, you're
discussed?
taking a risk of taxpayers' money,
Well, so is a lot of 113 other counties in the state of Kentucky.
and you're buying into 113 other counties' problems.
It's about like Eric said, we're way above average there,
I understand.
way above. So
You're-
if it's good for 113 counties out of the state of Kentucky.
I've always
How
been the black sheep of the family. You know it?
I want to agree with Dean a little bit on this, you know, it is a risk, I believe. And, you know, when I looked through this, I talked to some consultants on it, and there were some coverage differences that were a little
Yeah.
bit concerning, but didn't seem to be a big problem. You know, and I think if it were my money and my business, I would probably go with KCO. But sometimes, you know, it's hard to take a risk with someone else's money. I am a little concerned with their capitalization, with their, how much they have in the bank, and, but if you look at the assessments and the history of them, you know, if we 3-4 years without an assessment, we're still coming out good.
Ahead, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
You know, and this quote is what, 32,000, I think, different?
I think it's 36.
36.
I'll say when I got them up to, and when I got them closer to the cap on our
Right,
exposure.
5 million, yeah. Now, there's $11,000 tail insurance for this year only, right? It'll
Yeah.
go away next year. But if our loss history is like it has been, all of it may evaporate. All right?
Well, the COVID-19 coming on, who knows what that's gonna do, you know?
And the other concern, and I just want to make sure everybody goes in this with their eyes wide open, is if we go with the KCO this year, we may not have any private options next year.
We have one private option this year.
You have one this year, right?
Travers refused to quote us.
Right. So, you know, if they don't have a history with you, the loss history, they just like, no, we don't want the risk. I'm just saying, there is risk, there is rewards to it.
In fact,
Just make sure that we-
I thought KCO on the general liability side, I thought they'd be $100,000 cheaper,
Yeah.
$200,000 cheaper.
Heavy companies-
Because all the losses are still back behind them.
And workers' comp-
Houston Casualty is still gonna be paying the losses. We got still a couple lawsuits at the jail from 4 years ago, 5 years ago, pending.
How many companies did you reach out to on this?
To a broker. We use a broker.
And that's, well, his job is to get quotes.
His job is to go to the market.
He doesn't care who gets it.
Yeah.
Right, that's the way my.
He's with KCO, and he represents KCO with other, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want everybody to realize there is risk and reward. I mean,
It is.
just look at the bottom line of it, that the workman's comp is a little higher, right?
About $80,000 higher, yeah.
So next year may be a totally different story. I mean, if you look at the savings this year and next year,
Well, Jeff, when we buy a bush hog, we may not buy a bush hog that we bought last year.
Yeah.
We took a risk, but we went with the lowest price. To save taxpayers' money, like you said, when we invest taxpayers' money, we've got to look at it.
I told you in my business, I told you what I would do.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just want to make sure that you understand that we're.
When we buy a bush hog, we don't go back and pay another premium on
No,
it
you
later.
don't, you don't get no assessment on it.
Yeah.
And I think
And we
we-
bought bush hogs a couple years ago and they fell apart.
These are professional services.
I think the risk is in the future, not now. You know,
Oh, exactly. Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
And when you leave the private market,
Yeah, that's,
May not have enough place to come back to.
yeah, and then KCO's got you, because they're in business to make money.
Yeah, but if you look
see
at
their overhead, you look at their overhead. how
If you
many
look at their
employees they
past
have.
history, they haven't, I mean, like in 95, like you're talking about, but a lot of things happened in 95 that ain't happening in today's
I'm
world.
the first to say their management's greatly improved.
Well, look at take their last 5 years. I mean, nobody has done anything to them. They've, all 113 counties
I
have
think,
been
Jeff,
very satisfied.
I think I told you the other day, Jeff asked some of these questions, I think they had $40 million in assets.
you know, that's. you
That's
know,
pretty weak to
spread
me.
over 113 counties, that's,
Not very much.
yeah. But, you know, they're in the statistics,
You know-
I mean, they know what they're doing, I guess I would say.
Well, the thing I kind of, you know, when I got to digging into it a little bit, which, you know, the premium, which, you're saving off the top. But when you look at the benefits, the benefit package is pretty extreme, man. They like $1,000 deductible compared to a $10,000 deductible. And it is a risk, but that right there was pretty significant, I thought. So you're saving, if you were to get a claim, and I ain't trying to pitch for
We're gonna get a claim.
We're gonna get a claim, but you won't pay the deductible that you would be paying.
We have claims every year.
I'm sure, yeah.
Two of them at the landfill cost us about $100,000 a piece or so, wasn't it, John? Were you here when the fire happened?
Yes.
Okay.
It's risky, I'm telling you, but because, I hinge a lot on what, Dean's got the experience, he's been here as long as he has, but it's tough.
I'll tell you something else on there that we have to look at too. I'm sure this is in Jeff's realm, is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is covered under CAECO and it's not under HCC. They could lock the county down, someone.
And what claim do I have for insurance for that?
I'm sorry?
And what claim do I have?
They would take that over and if you have to pay a ransom, is that right, Jeff? Have to pay a ransom or something like that? They would pay that ransom to unlock your computer.
I wouldn't buy it if I had to go out and shop.
It's in their policy.
Oh, I know, it's part of their package.
Yeah.
It's not there's no two companies going to have the same package.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
If they've got some extra protection, they got some extra.
Exactly.
I'm not saying they don't.
So the main risk, what we're looking at is a possibility of them reassessing us in 2 years and giving us a
bill.
Could give us a bill or could give us a refund.
Yeah, and I always worry about.
And they haven't gave refunds.
And I always worry about that because instead of keeping those in there for the assets for the counties, they've given refunds to keep baiting you into the system.
Judge, that happens with everything. You can't use that in comparison.
$40 million is not a lot of assets for 120 counties.
I wouldn't use the term baiting.
Well, I've used it.
I'm sure they have some co-insurance, they have to.
They have co-insurance,
So
they
it's,
do.
it's-
They have co-insurance.
You know they
I
do.
just want to share the research that I've done. I know how I feel about it, and I just want to make sure everybody goes on the right line. It's a pretty big step.
It is.
And again, I'll work with CAECO, I'll work with whatever the court's desire.
You want a motion?
Do what now?
So you're looking for a motion?
Well, Keith asked the same question.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to go with CAECO. It's $36,000 difference. I did a little math on it, like you did when you did the bush hog deal.
Now, you did the bush hog deal.
No, you didn't want to buy the bush hogs because it was $800 higher. And you said that, well, that would buy this and that would buy that. If we go with this $36,000, it will save, we can buy a new Explorer for the sheriff.
Oh, my
For
goodness.
$33,000.
That's the best
can
sales
buy-
pitch I've had
We can
today.
buy
That's the best sales
$5
pitch
sets
I've
of
had
tires
today.
for an ambulance.
Jimmy Brooks, you heard that, didn't you? Hey, so you make a motion to
I'll
go
make
with
a
CAECO.
motion to
That's
go
all.
with CAECO to save the
Is there a
county
second to that? motion?
$36,000.
Is there a second to the motion?
I second the motion.
Motion been seconded by Jeff Lear. Any further discussion? All approved, say aye. Aye? Aye?
No.
Aye. Aye? No. Motion carries.
The future will tell if it was a good decision.
That's with anything, no deal.
Oh, yeah. I'll still be around the end of the term and say, told you so.
Be walking down.
When we get back
I'll be having a chest
$500,000, I'll say, I told you so.
You want to get a little report on the election process, Danette?
Okay, as of yesterday, we've mailed out over 7,000 absentee mail-in ballots. We've got another 2,000 on the portal today, this morning to mail out. We've received less than 2,000 of these back. And, I mean, it's been every day, my deputies are stuffing these envelopes. If the media would please get it out to the people, the voters that have these absentee mail-in ballots, to please get them back to us so we can get them counted before the election day at 6 o'clock. The board's actually already started scanning and counting the ballots. We've probably scanned 1,400. We're scanning Wednesday and Thursday of this week and maybe Friday, and again on Monday, and then all day Tuesday. If the media would also ask the voters to make sure that both of those envelopes are signed. If these envelopes aren't signed, when they get back to my office, they are not going to be counted as your vote will not be counted.
The outside envelopes
The
that we
outside
sign.
envelope and then the
And
inner.
then on the ballot itself.
There's also a flap on the inside envelope. Do not tear that off. It has to stay on that envelope.
They can drop it off at your Dropbox.
We'd rather them drop it off at our drop box. That way they know it went into that secured box. It stays locked up. We check that box once a day. If somebody needs something out of motor vehicles, we tell them we open it up the next morning. I have a Democrat, I have a Republican deputy. Both of them go in there and check it. We've got a log on what comes through the door and how many. We've had 397 people actually come in person and vote at the clerk's office, which is open through the 22nd from 8 to 4 for in-house voting. The state has actually, they're in the process of sending the personal, the PPE to our county emergency management. Not sure if it's arrived yet, but he's going to keep an eye out for it. We'll have it ready for out to the fairgrounds on election day. Masks are mandatory for our poll workers. I've actually lost a few because of that, but at first I didn't know that I could mandatory them and found out that I can, so, which is a good thing because there's a lot of concern on people not wearing masks. Now the voters coming into the fairgrounds, all I can do is ask them to wear a mask. If they refuse, we'll let them vote and they leave. We did a walkthrough out at the fairgrounds last week, and it went over pretty well. It seemed like it's going to run smooth. All we can do is keep our fingers crossed. We know it's not going to be perfect, as the other clerks are saying. This is all new on all the clerks. I'm just thankful that I've got a county judge executive, or that we all got a county judge executive that has been there. No, I'm serious. Anytime I've asked him, he's gave me the road department guys to use. He's gave me his fellas to use, his girls to use. Nelson County's lucky. The county clerk's office is lucky. Matthew White has answered every question we've had, and we've had a lot of them. I just want to thank you guys.
You're welcome.
Questions
So,
now?
Yes.
No.
If a person files and calls you and signs that paper to get their ballot,
Right.
and they haven't received their ballot, and they don't get their ballot by voting day, can they go through the line?
They can call our office. There's a procedure. A lot of people, like I said, there's going to be 9,000 ballots out. Today is Tuesday. They have to be back in our office Tuesday at 6 o'clock. I don't look for it. I'm looking for these people to come to the fairgrounds. There are procedures. Right now, we're asking them to wait at least a week because the mail carriers everything's going through the mail, so it is behind. I'm asking them to wait a week, and then they'll come to our office if they do not receive that ballot, and there's a procedure that will get going, so they will be able to vote.
It's been 9 days on me personally.
Has it been 9
I haven't
days?
got it back
It
yet.
took me 10 to get rid of it.
Did you call them and ask them if it was on the way? I did that. Yeah.
Trying to do
We
something.
can track those ballots, we can track them coming in and out of
She
our
said you'll have it
office.
tomorrow, and I had mine. It worked real good.
me about
He's
About
trying
as
to
easy
get
as it
through, he
gets.
said. Dial my number direct, or just stop by here, stop by the office, and we'll let you in,
All right, another question.
okay?
5:55, June the 23rd, you got 100 people in line. What happens?
Those 100 people get to vote.
Yeah,
We've got
those 100 people
Raymond County Sheriff is going to have a deputy, whether it's at St. Joe or at the Redway or at the courthouse. They'll have the deputy in the line at 6 o'clock. Once they come through the fairgrounds, we'll pull them all into the fairgrounds, so the gates will be closed. Everybody who wants to vote will be allowed to vote.
I watched your video on Facebook, and it was very, very professional.
We've had quite a few compliments, that just, it's all new to everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
It's new.
It's a trial and error, we gotta learn.
I believe that we're the only county in the state that is doing the drive-through voting.
That's cool.
It is.
Yeah. That's really good. You've done a good job. I appreciate it.
County board we're looking forward to seeing how it does work. I believe it'll go over pretty smooth. Keep our fingers crossed.
But let me ask
And if it
you,
don't, we'll handle it.
That's right.
We'll
so you're
handle it.
saying people can vote in person up until the
The
23rd?
22nd, through the 22nd at 4
At the-
o'clock at the clerk's office. Appointments are recommended, they're not mandatory, we're not turning anybody down. I've got the clerk's office, the whole motor vehicle side is down just for those deputies to be able to help in elections.
Yeah. You got a lot on your plate.
Actually, the essential, the recording is still up and going because that is essential. You have to have your real estate. But this week only, all the motor vehicle clerks are helping them. And it takes every one of them. The state has actually gave us money to hire 4 additional workers, and I've got all those there.
Oh, cool.
And there'll be some
It's an
bills on our
experience.
bill set for some of those helpers, because we're paying them, the state's reimbursed through the clerk's office.
And like I said, I've got them, and I've got the judges people, and the road department guys they're awesome. Everybody's pitched in and helped us.
Yeah, well, the fact that you can do absentee ballots, man, you used to have to do them in the military, I'm sure you did them too, Raymond, it's the easiest thing you can do.
A lot of people like them, a lot of people don't.
Really?
Yeah, it's-
Just now,
You send it to your house and you check it, you send it back.
I'm gonna give you some
I'll give you
unsolicited
that.
advice. Don't
Yes.
look at Facebook.
Yeah.
Yes. I've learned,
Just do
you told
yourself
me
a favor
that.
next, till after the election, don't look at Facebook.
You
That's
told
what I'm
me
hearing.
that. Thank you.
That's what I heard on my Facebook.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you all.
Great job.
Yes.
Good job.
Good luck.
If we can help in any way, let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Thank you, guys, I appreciate that.
Poll workers. Open enrollment for health insurance will start June 29th for our employees and go through July the 10th. We will, I think, please? Who?
He was out there.
Oh, no, tell him I don't need him anymore. He's supposed to come in, I thought he was gonna come in. Pat Conway. He's done. Pat represents KCO too, so just so you know.
Well, he ain't done, yeah.
Yeah.
He might
No.
be done on the private side, but he's still getting.
Yeah.
He's like the bookie, you don't care which horse race wins.
That's right, as long as you bet.
Yeah, okay, so open enrollment for our employees, there's an email, I guess, that's going out to all the employees shortly on that, or to the department heads to make sure the employees know, and likewise the magistrates too. Yeah, Austin, right there at the end is a good spot there for you.
Right here.
No, the front seat, please. Right there, just like church. Tax moratorium request in your mail. There's another one from Finn Davis, LLC. He's doing a home down on just right next door to the old Manning Greenville Funeral Home there on the corner. He's bought that property, going to rehab it, and Barbara has signed off on it.
Make a motion to approve the tax moratorium request.
And motion been made by Jeff Lear. Second by Gary Coulter. All approved, say aye. Disapprove? Motion carried. That's about the third or fourth one that we've done in rehab.
Did you ever
It's
sell
good for
one down there?
business. And the sign's out of the yard. I mean, it's good for the community. That's for sure.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay, road department report. Brad?
Okay, so we've been doing a lot of asphalt patching. We did District 2, Tom Greer and Garrison Lane, District 3, Petersburg Road and Bitto Lane, there's some pretty long ones down there. District 4, North Charity Heights, we're hitting it, Jeff, today. There's some pumping in the road we need to fix. And then District 5, we patched a place on Plum Run right at Peebler, Eric, right from the bridge up about 240 feet. You know, with the lack of asphalt paving money this year, guys, you'll see us trying to take care of some of these problem areas this way. Burner, we did some curb and drop box repairs on Hudson Drive. Seems like all these subdivisions, about 10 years into it, we always have issues around these curb box inlets. Did some shoulder work. Keith, you and I discussed that yesterday on Stringtown Road.
Good job.
Yeah, and we're doing King Road today. What it is, there's some places, guys, you know, when we pave, we go back and rock shoulder. What we found is some places that rock will not stay. The shoulders are just not for it. So we tried something yesterday like the state does, just in small areas of doing asphalt shouldering, you know, it's to keep what you just paved from flaking off. We can't afford to do all roads that way. I mean, you just do your problem area. So we tried that yesterday. It worked pretty good on Stringtown. We're going to try King Road today in some spots.
Have you ever tried the safety edge that the state, I'm not sure it requires a foot on the paper, but they have one.
So they do, our paper won't accommodate that. The way we do it, Jeff, is like better words, we got rock boxes on the back of our trucks that, you know, we spread salt with. We just put asphalt in it and it puts it down in the little spot of the shoulder and it's just handwork.
Okay.
And we actually borrowed something from Mako yesterday to roll it down. It worked pretty good. I can show you guys some pictures. Yesterday was our trial run, and it worked all right. It's expensive to do. It's about $2 a running foot to do a road. And wash over rough. So we don't do a whole lot of that.
Running foot, that's a lot.
Yep. Ditch work, we did some on Eddie Miles, Nelson County Fairgrounds, there were some issues out at the entrance, South Stillwell Road. Lake Creek, we did some ditch work, on Kings Road as well, Murray's Run and Murphy Run. Got a sinkhole on Hibbs Lane that we fixed, Jeff, out there by Chris Hurst's driveway. Keeps coming back on us, we'll keep fighting it.
In the road?
It's in the right of way. It's right at his driveway, right, yeah, but it is in right of way. We'll repair those if they're in right of way. And as far as mowing, we've completed the first round, we're in second round in District 2. Usually takes about 4 or 5 days to get through your district, and we just keep going counterclockwise through the county. So, that's where we're at right now.
I didn't mention District 1 at all, did I?
Not at all.
Wait a minute, what happened about string tank?
Brad takes care of me. I'm okay. You didn't hear me say it, you heard the judge say it.
I'm messing with him. Thank you, Brad.
That's really all my report.
Landfill solid waste report. Item number 1, garbage rates. For 6, 8, 10 months, we've been talking about this. Initially, had asked the court to consider $1, and $1 over the next 3 years. After listening to Magistrate Shelburne, Magistrate Metcalf, the 2 biggest guys on the court, and then concerns from other folks in between, I said, well, maybe we can do it 50 cents a year, 50 cents a month for the first year, 50 cents for the second year, 50 cents for the third year. That will take us to the end of our terms and allow us to buy some much-needed new garbage trucks going forward. I put together, or John did for me, I sent to you a list of the current mileage on the trucks. You guys get that yesterday?
Yes.
And I think I put a hard copy in your mail. You got 4 trucks that have over 150,000 miles on them. One's got 171, one's got 231, one's got 261. And we're probably a truck and a half behind, to be honest with you. We've got a truck coming already, but we're probably a truck and a half or even 2 trucks behind on needs. And with the programs that we're continuing to do, the bulky item pickup, the 2 free passes, the dead animal pickup that we do, we just need an infusion of revenue. Questions?
What, the new truck that's coming in, are you planning on, which one you replacing?
So that would be replacing 412.
412? What's wrong with it?
It is old.
13, almost 13.
231,000 miles, not a great amount of miles on diesel.
Well,
Okay, there's a difference between on a garbage truck and
Yeah,
on
I
a regular
understand.
over-the-road semi truck.
I understand that, yeah.
You stop and
You talk
start,
about the
stop,
bed
start.
part,
Transmission,
hydraulics.
automatic transmissions.
Basically, the beds rusted out, the engine, I mean, you could hear it drive down the courthouse, it's loud.
I hear it every morning about 6:30.
so Gary, that's a good point to point out, because Dean and I always used to have these discussions in the past when he would shoot me down trying to find.
Yeah, he's pro with that, yeah.
So
Yeah, good.
imagine a garbage truck, you make about 500 stops a day. So basically, he puts the right pedal all the way down until he gets to the stop, then the left pedal goes all the way down.
Yeah, I know.
That back,
Yeah.
and this is good discussion to have in open court so everybody understands the difference of a garbage truck starting and stopping, starting and stopping every day. So it's hard to compare really those mileages, but that's a really good question.
And that's just the engine. Now, if you go back to the bed, I mean, you're putting garbage, everything in it, they rust out, they corrode, and you get to the point that there's nothing to weld to.
I understand that, yeah.
Well, how come never mind, no, I'll say no.
They got hour meter on?
Yeah, they do. They
That would be
do.
an interesting,
Right.
Yes.
So a good way to look at hours compared to miles is a usual over-the-road truck's gonna run, what, 55, 60 miles to an hour, roughly. So that is a good comparison, as you pull John Form, if they want to see that. And then you can do the math, Jeff, to extrapolate it out.
But it's a lot like, I'm sorry, it's a lot like ambulances sitting in a scene idling for an hour or 2 at a time. Or my trucks, when I was in business, sitting at a wreck scene idling. I mean, hours on the engine is a lot harder on a truck than You sit still or running.
Road tractors, you can get
Yeah.
300 to 400 to 500.
Oh, you get more than that.
Sit. I've never seen
No,
one sit.
no, they don't sit.
They don't sit.
Stop and go.
Well, that's just one thing, you're gonna have other needs within the solid waste program, it's gonna, your salary's gonna keep going up, cost of business is gonna keep going up. I just think 50 cents is a modest increase and a compromise to my original proposal.
What does 50 cents a month generate additional revenue per year?
$75,000. So basically, even if you compare this to inflation, so if you look at just, I pulled this morning just to see.
3%.
So the average inflation is 1.71 for the last 10 years. It goes up from the highest year was 3.14. So basically, a 50-cent increase basically covers inflation for 2 years. We haven't touched garbage rate for 8 years. So really, if you look at the last chart, one of the charts I sent, we're still not even keeping up with inflation.
And the new truck is 175,000.
Around 172. And that's another chart in this packet. I mean, look at the past trucks we've had to buy. The oldest truck we have on site, we bought for 97,000. The current was 172. So just like you guys, personal trucks. I mean, if you buy a truck today, you buy a truck 10 years ago, the costs go up.
Hey, John, let me ask you something. If the court voted to not do the increase at all, what would be the case scenario if that was to happen? If we said, no, we're not gonna raise it?
Okay, so that's a good question. Basically, we just talked about like truck inflation, everything's going up. The price of a Snickers 50 years ago was 50 cents, was a nickel. 10 years ago or 15 when I was a kid, it was 50 cents, $1,25. So basically, you have your expenses going up, your revenue staying the same. So basically, you don't have money for new trucks. So then in the short-term basis, we got enough cash to float us for a year. Then we'll go in the negative, then we won't have money for new trucks. Our parts will go up, our overtime will go up because we're gonna have extra guys working longer hours. Like yesterday, truck car town. We spent your whole crew, the extra half an hour out just to make sure you get everybody in, all the garbage picked up. So you have to address this problem sometime. We can't do 14, 50, 20 years from now, whether we do it this time, whether we do it a year from now, whether we go $1 next year, and don't do 50 cents this year. We're gonna have to address this issue.
What are our rates compared to a county this size? And, can you compare an apple to apple there? Tell us where we're at on that.
Okay, so basically what I did, and another thing, this packet, what I sent you guys last week or 2 weeks ago, if you look at, so if you take us out and Marion County out, you look at average rates are 1876 in this area.
Really?
So we are at 1450, but if you compare us to somebody right next door to Hardin County, we're just all the services that we provided that they don't provide, like the dead wagon, recycling, bulk yard and pickup. If you start breaking all these numbers down, we are well below everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So we are one of the most, I started looking at these rates in 2017, so I took all the numbers in the state of Kentucky for 2017. We were in the bottom 20% for garbage rates. That was 2017, and we haven't changed since 2017. So we were probably in the next, I'm guessing, 10 to 15% at the bottom. And then go back to your question about what would happen if we don't do this. I sent out some articles last week about Pike County landfill. They have a landfill and solid waste.
Which county was that now?
Pike County. So Keith, you mentioned about it. What's another example of somebody that has a landfill and the solid waste department? Basically, they're not funding it. They are going from, they don't have money to buy the new trucks. They're having to use pickup trucks because they don't have garbage trucks to go out on the road to pick up, to throw garbage in the back of pickup trucks just to get it out there. And they're going, they proposed, and they dealt with this in last year, they went from 17 and change to $24 a month. So you don't address this now when we're barely dealing with inflation increases, we're going to have to bump up $5 or $6 in a couple of years. And then another thing, one last thing, these other counties, they did this stuff out to Waste Management Rumpke. That's an option too, but they're look at their numbers, they're $18.50, they're $20. Or they're 18 to 20 bucks a month, so we're well below what they are.
And so they probably don't have the bulky item with the.
They don't have any of that. That's another good question too. So in our ordinance, we have 6 cans with our ordinance. If you go to Hardin County, it is a $2 rental fee per can. But if you want 2 cans, it's an extra $6 a month. So it's well above $22 a month for 2 cans.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little bit bigger than us, so it's bigger than our totes. But they're limited on garbage too.
John, how much is Washington County?
So Washington County's right now, it is $16.30. In 2021, they're going up to $17.27.
Really?
And then that's another thing, so.
They're bringing their garbage and dropping it over in my district.
Yeah. That's another,
when you go to some of these other solid waste coordinators meetings, they recommend, talking to Hardin County's solid waste coordinator, they recommend going with the CPI index. That way you don't have to touch it, you don't have to mess with it. It goes up, our rates go up, their rates go up as inflation goes up.
All right, I'll talk to you yesterday about this. What's Marion County's rate gonna be?
So right now, so this is separate, this is just our department. That's there at 14.50, or 14 even.
They're 50
But
cents
like I
less
said,
than we
You're
are
going up.
now.
The judge told me they're getting ready to rate, they're waiting for us to do it first.
And like,
I can tell you, I own some ground in
So
there,
realize, though,
most
Keith-
of front property in Arizona too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Realize, Keith, on that question, I don't know where you're going with that. This decision does not affect Marion County any at all. This is not a landfill decision. This is a garbage, solid waste decision. So I don't want the news media to get that wrong, because I don't want to be getting phone calls from the judge.
Yes.
Yeah.
This decision today does not affect Marion County. It would be a landfill decision that would affect Marion County, because then their fees.
And Marion County chooses to raise their garbage, that's their prerogative.
Right. So I don't know if that's where you're going with that question.
Well, I was kind of going, if you take Marion and Nelson County line, this guy right here is gonna pay $14 for garbage, is that correct,
Yeah.
right now?
Yes, right now, today.
All right, if we approve this today, what's he gonna pay tomorrow?
Who?
I'm not worried about Marion, I'm not worried about Marion
We
County.
can't carry,
I mean, if they're gonna be less than we are, and we own our own landfill,
It has nothing to do with it.
it does to me.
It does not.
I'm like,
Hey,
yeah, it's my money.
Keith, guess what? If you got a dead animal you picked up over there, you gotta pay for it. It ain't free over there.
bulky services like that. I get phone calls from Spencer County, Bull County, from these guys that want me to pick up their animals, and I can't do it. They ask me who doesn't.
Well, I mean, you talk about constituents.
No, Marion County.
I don't have
bulky item over there either.
No.
They don't get 2 free passes to the land, not free. Our rate includes 2 passes to the landfill and no additional cost.
Right.
Our rate does.
And bulky item.
And dead animals.
Yeah.
So how much would it alleviate if you was to remove the bulky item pickup? I mean, I know it's not advertised.
Okay.
We could probably hold rates.
I'm sorry.
We could probably hold rates.
True numbers for bulky item, the road department, the reason I know this is my crew does it. They transfer $60,000 out of the solid waste account to pay for the road department's time.
Which is about half of the real cost.
That's just labor. That's no fuel, no equipment, no nothing. So there's 60 grand. That's true money that's taken out. Plus about 35-ish
Around
thousand
35.
on landfill fees. So when you truly, my road department crew brings bulky item out there to dump it, there's money that has to pay for that. So you're looking at 100 grand. Well, we just told you 50 cents.
It's 75.
75,000. For me, I can only speak for me. For $6 a year, you don't know I'm gonna pay $6 a year. You can come to my house.
Right.
So when you guys start considering dropping bulky item, think that through.
Yeah, that's a pretty good
For
point.
$6 a year, and I'm still gonna come to your house, hey man.
And for the media, that's not on the table.
Yeah.
That's just a good discussion though,
Yeah, it is.
especially for new magistrates that
You
haven't.
brought it
There's no new matter.
Huh?
You brought it up about the bulky item, so why is it not on the table?
Well, it's not on the table to change.
How you know it's not? We ain't voted on
Well,
it yet.
let's hear it then.
No, I'm just
Are you interested in that, number one?
getting rid of the bulky item?
Yeah, man.
Absolutely not.
No.
Okay, then it's not on the table.
Yeah.
I didn't know how y'all thought.
Cautious on what you are.
That's a good question.
I mean, it's something.
Nelson County's got a lot of benefits on what we do with our garbage and bulky item and that other counties surrounding us don't have, okay? He nailed it in the head. Rumpke has the contract in Hardin County, and I believe there's 2 other counties surrounding us that.
Washington County.
So just be cautious. We can't operate like we did 20 years ago.
Ain't going about that. You can cut something like that, that would fix you for 1 year. So basically, you make a change from here on out, that'll save us raising rates for 1 year. And we'll have to adjust the rates the year after that. So that'll only fix the problem.
It's a no-brainer to me, but Dennis has got a question.
Do you have senior citizen discount?
We have low income, not senior center. We have a low income.
I'm glad I live in Marion.
Well, number one,
I looked at this pretty hard. We went back through the budget last couple of days, and
What do you think, Jeff?
I see a little, I won't say fat, a little cushion in the budget that I think it's not.
In the solid waste budget?
Yes, sir, yeah. But, I mean, it's things that it's wise to have a little, a little wiggle room in there because you don't know the cost on it. But I was real hesitant over $1. I thought that was a little bit too much. It just seemed like a good compromise. And the other issue that I had was 3 years. Why 3 years? But I think all in all, I believe this probably is something that needs to be done. And I don't say that lightly. I've been on this, fiscal court for 10 years. I don't think I've ever voted for an increase.
Yeah, we voted on the increase 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
You gotta look at his vote though, you
I
say.
didn't vote for it.
Oh, okay.
As my recommendation to the court, I wouldn't have brought it up to the point that we considered approving this change to the ordinance.
I don't take this lightly, but I'll make a motion that we approve 50-cent increase for the next 3 years.
Thank you, Jeff.
I'll say that.
I got Eric with just a little ahead of you, Bert. Any further discussion? Motion and second's been
It's a
made.
bottle of water, you look at it,
Well,
the total amount.
Number one, I think the sanitation workers do a great job for the county, absolutely great job. And number two, with the cost of the trucks nowadays, you have got to increase it in order to buy more trucks. I mean, the trucks are laying down. I'm sorry.
Further discussion, just on,
Yeah, don't have any choice, yeah.
this ordinance that we, just to approve this particular ordinance that we have before us.
Ordinance is, John's giving you the changes in that
On
ordinance.
page 5, we got a typo there.
Page 5.
Just simple, we recess to the no big deal, just aggravated me for some reason.
Where is it?
Page 5.
Last paragraph.
I didn't even catch that myself. But nothing to do with the dollar or
Nothing to do with
anything.
anything.
Yeah. Motion's been made and second with the change as provided by Jeff. All approved, say aye. Disapprove? That was approval?
Yeah.
Okay. Disapprove?
You did say.
He did vote for it, yes.
Okay.
It fell in, but he voted for it.
I just want to be cautious when you do that. I want to think it all the way through.
Disapprove? No disapprovals for the record there, Jeanette. Motion carries. Thank you all.
So Dean, since that's an ordinance, we have a second reading on it.
We'll have a second reading in our next court meeting. Or it depends on the advertisement process.
So I'm assuming, Matt, you need something from John on that?
I've already got it.
We've already got it, yeah.
Okay.
We'll get it in on Sunday.
Thank you, Matthew. Anything else, John, on?
Recycling should start back up soon, but until then, I think Gary, I talked to you about that. We got a recycling trailer out at the landfill. If anybody wants to bring their plastics, paper, we'll take that and as soon as we go through our opportunity center, we'll like to get going and get that back opened up too. Start doing our door pickup.
Do we still have recycling trailers in Bloomfield, New Haven, one up here in town?
We take those to the Guthrie Opportunity Center, so we are holding those up right now, but as soon as they open up, we're gonna deliver them back out there. We just didn't want them out there, people throwing all kinds of stuff and being overfilled.
Well, wasn't there a problem, people threw a couple dead animals in them and all kinds of stuff
It was
there?
garbage, get bags of
Oh,
garbage.
they did it in the recycling trailer.
Yes,
That's what I'm talking
one
about.
issue we do have, yes.
Did we get an email that says the Ghost Center's opening back? A certain date?
Quietly at first.
Well, it's not, oh, yeah.
Yeah, they want a soft opening when they do get back in the groove.
Press had it this morning.
Did it? Okay.
Well, John, thank you for all your work you did on this. I know I've spent endless time with you and arguing with you, and like you said, it was good discussion. So thank you.
I like to see both sides, I mean, there's both.
Jeff, you had a comment?
Yeah, just, this year when bulky item is completed, I would like to see, full cost reimbursement to the road department. If we're gonna charge for this service, we need to charge what it costs.
You should have went up $1 then.
No. I can show you some places where you can get it. If you want to. If you want to go back to the budget with me, you can sneak it under some.
Watch out there,
You can't get it.
Once you put,
I'm with Jeff.
once you put together the full cost, including the equipment cost.
Okay.
I mean, reason being, I mean, just to be honest, I don't think a mandatory, a service like this should be paid for out of taxpayer money. If we're gonna charge for the service, and we're gonna increase the rates to pay for that service, then it needs to reflect the true cost.
I agree. But we are subsidized, taxpayers are subsidized.
I understand, and I don't think we should be,
Okay.
especially with the, the road department gets, you know, they don't get any kind of revenue in from us, you know, they just all taxpayer.
But they get to 65,000,
So,
that's,
well, yeah, I know, yeah, that may, but I know that doesn't.
it's not enough, no,
Yeah.
no.
Who started the book?
And let me just, Judge Abel started before I got elected as judge, both y'all picked up. And the purpose of not charging fully back to the solid waste program was to keep rates low. It was to keep rates low and reasonable. So the 50 cents won't be enough if I charge the full charge. I don't know how you can find other monies.
You want to take a look real quick?
Not right now, but we will. But it might be a matter of opinion.
Bring it up.
No, it's not even opinion.
Okay, but curious.
Well,
That's the round table we was talking about.
Yeah, okay, yeah, let's save that for another day.
Save that for a round
Yeah.
table.
You know, I think the city got himself in a bind with some of the utilities we're paying for general fund stuff. I think that's, you know, problematic, and they realize and corrected. But the other side of that coin's even worse. The taxpayers pay for a service. So it's a, you know, it's a balancing act, and it probably needs to be accounted for accurately.
Balanced. Gotcha.
Question. Through the road department, through John. The Bucky Audi pickup is January, February, March.
No.
Starting last Monday in February. But I think this year we did start opening up early to the landfill so people can bring stuff for free.
But our guys weren't out till the last week in February.
Yes, last Monday in February.
And we have agreed to rotate that this coming year, correct?
I don't think so.
I think we need to.
Basically,
I'm going to keep bringing that up till it happens. I mean, somebody help me out. Come on.
I like being first.
I'm sure. You can be first.
That's fine.
There you go.
Well, yes, got a question.
The sooner my district gets cleaned up, the better. I think.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Then they can go over.
I'll switch with you.
Okay, let's move along. Jail report, Buck?
As of this morning, we had 96 inmates, population back on the rise.
I saw that.
96.
Yeah.
We have 51 state males, and we have 3 females. We have 37 county inmates and 5 female county inmates. We've really come up the last couple of weeks.
In numbers, yeah. I can tell by the jail logs that you're going to have an increase. Nobody getting out now, right now. Court's back in session to a degree, right, Matthew?
Yeah.
To a degree.
Hey, Bud, let me ask you, are y'all doing anything different with COVID? Do y'all have to do anything with the inmates to monitor?
We take everybody's temperatures when they come in.
Yeah.
If they got over 100, we gotta put a mask on and quarantine them by themselves.
Have y'all had to give any tests or anything over there?
Not only that, they've done a great job. I mean,
Yeah, we were very-
not too many jails can say they don't have
There's no transfer, there's nobody.
nobody, you know, and they're not coming out to working for us or anything.
Right. Thank you.
EMS report, Joe.
Okay, under emergency service report, current COVID-19 cases for Nelson County as of last night are 48 confirmed cases, 1 hospitalized, 2 in home isolation, 44 recovered, and 1 dead, which is really pretty good numbers for the county as it is now. Our supplies, PPE supplies, currently for the first responders, healthcare workers, we're holding at a 20-day supply on hand, which is pretty good. Things have slacked up a little bit on the needs and use of the PPE that we have when we have active COVID patients or positive COVID patients. So that's helped us keep our supply in check. Beam Suntory, again, I report this about every board meeting, but Beam Suntory has donated an additional 360 gallons of hand sanitizer that we'll pick up today. Working with the school systems, they've requested a pretty large quantity of hand sanitizer as they pre-plan opening the school, so we'll provide most all of this to them, to both systems.
Give them under lock and key, make sure the young kids don't get into that alcohol.
Well, they got it under lock and key.
It looks like moonshine.
We're also going to go back Thursday and pick up an additional 360 gallons. And Keith Smith is telling me that they're going to wind this project down. Kevin Smith, I mean, going to wind this, the project down for making sanitizer by the end of the month.
Do me a favor and contact Daniel at 4-H.
Okay.
She's got the 4-H shooting sports getting back together now,
Okay.
and may needs a little bit of
Sure,
help.
yeah, we'll get that taken care of. We've also installed a new weather siren at the airport to replace the old one that didn't work anymore. Completed that in the last 2 weeks. Working today and this week on completing a hazard mitigation grant. We filed this a couple of years ago, got passed over. It's our attempt to get a hazard mitigation grant to furnish funding for a generator for the Kobeck building, which is the old Oak Home School. It's set up very well for a shelter and our emergency operations center, but we can't really move along developing those without backup power. So hopefully we'll have some, be looked at a little more favorable on this go around. We have to have that in Monday. We have been asked by Flash A and did remove the triage tent that we had down there since middle of March for routing their patients through for testing of COVID. They've gone back to pretty much normal operations, so we went down, took that down, cleaned it up, got it put back in the hazmat trailer where it belongs. Under EMS report, I put in your packet the numbers for May. Come in at 589 calls made, a significant increase in the non-transport, 203. So the actual billable calls were down a little bit, and that reflects in revenue as well for the month. Now, we are starting to see the numbers and calls, people actually being transported, going back up just a little bit, so we'll see that maybe helping in the month of June and July as we go forward. We're preparing for a state inspection, which will be next week, on-site inspection. That'll be my report.
Chief, I want to apologize for you sitting back here.
No, sir.
I got you under my list of old new business. I'm going to go ahead and call on you so often.
No problem, Judge.
I got to thinking about it. I said, I should have put you up the ladder, and I'm so
No, sir.
sorry about that.
No, sir, thank you.
In your mail is Northeast Nelson Fire District Protection District. Fiscal Court does not approve their budget, but the presentation's the important part and a matter of record. Chief, you want to make a little...
No, just as a reminder, as an SPGE, we are required to bring it to you. Our board approved this second reading last month. If you have any questions, if you need a copy, I have several, but Dean said he would send them on to you.
I think that laid them out, but I got it too.
Yes, if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them right now. We're on pretty sound financial standing. We do have outstanding debt of around $131,000, I believe, and that was on the apparatus that we purchased a couple years back. So our intent is to try to make some lump sums on that over the next 18 to 24 months to get that paid off, and as soon as we can get that done, we're going to look to go ahead and start construction on our Station 3, which is at Fairfield. We've actually taken possession of that property there. It is going to need some site prep work, and I talked to the judge and Brad about that. And so hopefully moving forward, we can work with them to try to get some of that done. I think I'm going to try to meet with Brad tomorrow to do some preliminary work to see how much cut field we're going to need there.
Where's that lot located?
It's in the 200 or 300 block of East Main and Fairfield. It's directly across from the Pay Lake, if you're familiar with the Fairfield area. It was deeded to us by Marshall Tingle at a very reasonable price. There is some material there that's going to have to be moved, but we've been working with Marshall over the last month or two to try to get that done as well. So.
Good job. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? Good. Okay.
Good job.
Appreciate it.
Okay, let's go back to recreation report, Brad. Okay, so the park is beginning to open up. Each organization provided the judge a plan on how they were going to open up. John, myself, the judge, Lee, Bryce all reviewed it and we approved that.
Pretty intense plan.
Yep.
Now, it's one thing to have a plan, it's another thing to follow it.
Oh, 100%. Now, here's the thing.
That's my concern.
We oversee the park. We don't oversee the organization.
No,
It's their responsibility to implement their own plan. So they know that. And, soccer and baseball started yesterday as far as practicing and whatnot. Football will start next week. The Baseball and soccer's plan are on our webpage, Fiscal Court's webpage. Football league's working on trying to get their plan up as well. So if anybody wants to review it as a parent or as a Fiscal Court member, you're more than welcome to get on our webpage.
What I understood from talking to the league leaders of each of those leagues, it was more of a conditioning thing at this point. Right, Brad?
Correct, it's just like what the governor said, you have phase 1, phase 2.
Yeah.
Phase 1
More
is conditioning, getting
running,
back used to it.
exercising, and
Right.
no contact, best of their abilities. You know, you get a bunch of young kids together. It's hard to say you're not going to have contact, but it's concerning. So we're going to try to monitor it going forward.
And I think,
You can't stop life completely.
right, I think it's important for these kids to get out and start doing something.
Yeah.
Mentally, it's important for them.
Socializing, just.
Sure. We do have a contract with Cintas to be providing hand sanitizers outside the restrooms, and how we deal with that. Bryce is going to do a cleaning regimen on the restrooms every day. And so, you know, it's going to become part of his chores each day. So that's where we're at with the park.
Okay. Brad, did the contractor on the old courthouse here, has he submitted any payment
He has not
requests?
submitted a payment. You know, he's finished his work outside. We're in the process, we're trying to review to make sure he addressed everything that was part
So the
of
next-
that particular contract. Always remember, we're trying to piece this thing together and keep the price down. So, you know, we got to double check. It's not like they went around to every side. We don't have individual spots that we did. So we're just, they have not submitted.
But so next pay period, it's 3 weeks between pay periods, is what I'm trying to say.
That'll be fine.
They'll be fine, okay.
It's about
question.
$32,000.
Yeah.
What we owe.
How much?
32,000.
Well, question, John, I seen you up in that basket with him one day. Do you think that's gonna solve that problem out here to where we can fix these windows?
I believe so.
Yeah, yeah. The
Basically,
guy, he told us that, the contractor.
yeah, it's just so tough, you get all these like stones and bricks and all these joints connections to the roof, it's just, so he just went around and started caulking everything. And that caulk they use is a very durable, long-lasting caulk. They put sand, once they caulk that so it blends in good with the mortar, they do a very good job.
Was it caulk, the lasting caulk, like $25 a tube?
It's pretty high. We bought some just to do a few repairs, and it's pretty high, yeah. It's the same stuff Keith's been using. Keith Wilt's been using for a few repairs. It's good stuff.
I would just like to fix this out there. That's all.
Yeah, it does look bad.
You and me both. Okay. In your mailbox, I put a copy of what the city did last time on their small business relief program. Everybody's kind of somewhat familiar with what they've done. They've asked the court if we would consider, and I think I briefly talked to you about this, if the court would consider taking some of their CARES Act money, their $150,000, and some of our CARES Act money, $150,000 put together to do another package for all businesses in the county, not just cities. And we would change the language in that. Anybody got any comment on that or concerns about that? If we were to move forward with something like that?
Who would be eligible for that, and what would it?
It's in there, the eligible is small business people, less than 50 employees, less than $1 million in business. And I'm just going off the top of my head here now. And it basically is to continue to support the small business people. For instance, the hairdressers, the restaurants are only a third at capacity. They're not making it. If they are, they're doing a darn good job.
Yeah, a lot of restaurants chose not to open back up because they couldn't do it.
Indoor seating, yeah. So I would recommend to the court that we team up with the city and open this up where all business out in the county could have an opportunity to get that $2,000.
Who's going to oversee it? You
The city, they've already got it set in their computer system. They would oversee it. I would kind of watch it too with the mayor. I just want to know the court's take on it before I tell the mayor yes or no. We're going to.
I think it's a good idea. I think we all have to work together. I mean, we're one county. We're not city and county. We're all of the county.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great idea to help the businesses out.
Bernard? What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. We use CARES Act money.
CARES Act money.
That's going to be eligible use of it, I'm pretty sure it is.
It is.
That's a good use.
In particular, you know, you need to, when we do set this up, make sure we go, that you tell the folks in New Haven, Bloomfield, any small business that has been shut down, we're going to modify this to say the county as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
And to modify it to where it's, if any small business outside of corporate limits can apply as well.
Right.
Do they have to prove that they was in distress, or?
It tells it in there about the rules.
I haven't read it.
City thought through pretty good on it. Nothing's perfect, I'm sure.
Right.
But,
We're all in learning mode right now, so.
I don't see how some business gonna make it, I really.
yeah.
It's,
So, if I could, could I get a motion from the court to approve spending $150,000 with a partnership with the city on of the CARES Act money? And then we'll have to put it up and get reimbursed for it, but,
I'll make that motion, Judge.
a motion by Gary, second by Bernard. Further discussion? All approved, say aye. Aye. Disapprove? Motion will carry. Thank y'all. I know that wasn't on the agenda, but you had briefly been addressed it before.
Judge Bennett had a question.
Who did?
Was that 150 out of your CARES money? And
150 out of the city, a total of 300,000.
How much total CARES money will you get?
1,564,000, give or take a dime or two.
That's pretty
How many
good.
cents?
Please?
How many cents? You got
Say it again, I want to be sure you repeat the same thing.
1.564. And I just estimated that. It might be a dollar.
That's pretty good. I couldn't have repeated the same thing for nothing.
Now bear in mind, that money, our priority right now is to take care of the immediate needs. And if we get money for payroll and stuff down the road, then that should be the last thing that we worry about. We got to take care of our immediate needs right now, because our budgeted monies for our ambulance and sheriff, it's already budgeted. But we want to make sure if we do take some of that money that it is not something that's going to come back on its own. You go penalties here, you go interest, you used it wrong.
So you cannot use that money for budgeted items, is it?
That's where the contradiction,
right now,
there's a contradiction of what is being said. And I kind of led you in that earlier today about that discussion. So I'm going to be careful, because I've gone through federal audits, and they're not as nice as they are at the state level.
When's the last time you went through a federal audit? And what was it about?
Senior center?
Built senior center.
Senior center. Back then it was $500,000, wasn't it? And they've raised it to $750 now.
So it was about 8 years ago?
I think we need to vote on that.
You did?
Did we?
Yeah. Yeah, everybody approved it. There was some to talk about, and I think it's about time that the court sits down and talk on a working session. Special working session fiscal court meeting, where we sit down and talk about things such as moving forward with the law enforcement in the county. And we talk about what happens when the county does run out of funds to do the ambulance service. All those costs, we did that about 15, 18 years ago, a couple of times. We go back to 96, 97, Dr. Harry Spalding was mayor, and we met and we got the city and county together at that time. But then again, we met ourselves to determine our needs. Our needs were a little bit different than the city's at the time. In particular, jail, going forward with jail, ideas. Just a good old-fashioned sit down for 2 or 3 hours.
I think that's a good idea.
But we have to itemize our agenda to the point that we make sure we cover all of our bases, because it would be a special meeting, and it would be a time to talk about the future and make sure we cover all areas. So if you had some areas like that you think need to be brought up, just get me individually and we'll make an agenda together. But what's a good time for you guys?
Anytime.
The court days?
I'll have to be sure I can get off from work.
Yeah, me too.
Of course, Matthew would have to be here, and I hate to tie up a half a day. I'm looking at a half a day or longer, Matthew, probably.
Whatever it takes.
Okay. Jeanette, yourself, I'll wait till after the election, obviously. I'll get a couple of dates together and send them out to you to look at. Media, you would be notified as well. And I can remember the last time we did have a media. The last time I had one, we actually held it at Wickland, away from this courtroom, in a different agenda and a different setting. It's almost like a retreat type of discussions. So I think I hear from the court that'd be a pretty good idea. And there won't be any action at all coming out of that meeting. No action at all. Okay? Thank you.
Sounds good.
Court have any other business? Motion to adjourn by Bernard Ike. Oh, yeah, I just forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me. I wanted to forget about it.
Make a motion that we go into closed session.
Out of regular session and closed session by Jeff Lear. Thank you, Jeff.
I'll second.
Well, I'm glad somebody's watching me. Second by Keith Metcalf. All approve, say aye. Aye. Disapprove, and motion will carry. Media, there will not be any action, I can tell you that.